Unless you've been living under a rock, you've likely heard of peptides. They are an increasingly popular subject amongst athletes and fitness enthusiasts and health hackers because they do all sorts of really positive things. About a year ago, I went on a peptide protocol, one that promotes accelerated healing because I was dealing with a clavicle injury that was just not getting better, and it helped me recover faster. It helped me get back on the mat. I've since done a couple cycles of that particular protocol, and every time I do it, it feels like it accelerates some healing. Well, I'm just finishing up my first month on a different category of peptides. These are growth hormone releasing peptides, meaning they increase your growth hormone. And I thought I would share what my results have been and share a little information on this topic. So let's talk about it. Don't forget that Old Grappler Summit San Diego is coming back this April 2025. It's my over 40 grappling event where people come from all over the United States and Canada, and it's an amazing experience. We have about 7 hours of training over 3 days, and we do a party, social gathering, fun get together. I've made incredible friends doing these events, and a lot of the people that have come to these events have continued their friendships as well. So if you're interested, just go to my website, rickellis.com, click the events tab, and you can see all the stuff I'm involved in over there. And don't wait to sign up because space is always limited at these events, and I look forward to meeting you and training with you. Okay, what are peptides? Peptides are something that your body creates naturally. You have about 700 different peptides that do all sorts of things. They are critical components in our body. They are bioregulators. They help us maintain hormone levels. They help promote healing. They do all sorts of different things. And at some point, someone figured out that you could synthesize peptides. And by synthesizing them, it means that you can then take them exogenously, thereby getting more of the effect that they naturally do. Typically, you take peptides through an injection. It's an insulin needle that you pinch a little bit of body fat and you give yourself a little shot. It's no big deal. Some people are squeamish about that. There are some peptides that you can take in pill form, but from what I understand, they're not as effective. There's also topicals. A lot of skincare products, hair loss products are increasingly using a peptide called GHK copper peptide, which is showing a lot of potential for reversing hair loss. And so peptides are getting a lot of attention. The big pharma companies are really looking into peptides. You might have heard of something called Ozempic. Ozempic is a weight loss product, but it's actually a peptide. And what they did is they simply increased the half-life, allowing them to patent it and then sell it to us for big profits. Insulin is a peptide. Most people don't know that. And so peptides have been around for a while, but over the last couple of years, they've really caught fire from the world of, fitness enthusiasm because there's all sorts of stuff that peptides do that are really positive for those of us that are athletes. A year ago, I did a protocol called the Wolverine Stack. It's 2 peptides, BPC 157 and TB 500. That particular stack promotes accelerated healing through a process called angiogenesis, which is the formation of capillaries and blood-carrying structures to get into areas that are hurt. And I had a clavicle injury. A friend of mine said, hey, you need to look into peptides. And I did. I did a deep dive into that subject, and I ended up doing a cycle of BPC 157 and TB 500, and it allowed me to regain a lot of range of motion to where I was able to get back on the mat and start training again. And then my girlfriend broke her foot, and 4 weeks later, we were supposed to be at my son's wedding, and there was going to be a big dance party that night. And she said, I want to be on the dance floor. dancing, so I put her on that same protocol, and a month later she was dancing. Not 100% healed with that foot, still a little bit of pain in that foot, but she was able to do things that she probably wouldn't have otherwise. So I'm a big fan of peptides, and that's just one category of peptides. Those are ones that promote healing. The category I want to talk about today is growth hormone releasing peptides. These are peptides that trigger your body to create more growth hormone. And the question is, why do you want more growth hormone? Well, our growth hormone peaks around the age of 18 or so. And every decade after that, it steadily declines, something like 15% per year, so that by the time you get to be my age, you are just not producing very much growth hormone at all. Now, what are the benefits of growth hormone? Well, growth hormone does all sorts of positive things. Number one is growth hormone can give you accelerated fat loss because it improves your metabolism. When you have more growth hormone, your body's metabolism runs a little better, and so you're going to naturally get a little bit leaner. And I have experienced that that is indeed the case because I am not eating right now in a way that would normally promote me getting lean. When I want to do that, I will fast and I'll go keto and really rein in my diet. But right now, I'm actually eating a lot because I'm trying to gain muscle mass. But despite the fact that I'm eating a lot and I'm hungry a lot, that's one of the effects of this peptide that I'm on, is that it makes me really hungry. So I'm eating a lot, and yet I'm actually getting leaner, which is a really interesting thing to observe. My girlfriend has noticed it. She said, dude, your ab muscles are poking out right now more than usual. And sure enough, that's true. So that's one of the things that growth hormone, increasing your growth hormone, can do. Growth hormone will also help you increase muscle mass because, growth hormone causes things to grow, and it's pretty indiscriminate into what it causes to grow, and it'll help you get a little bit more muscle mass. Now, granted, your testosterone level has to be high, sufficient to gain muscle mass. It's not a magic bullet if the rest of your health isn't on point, but if you have good testosterone and you're eating well and you're doing the things that are necessary, growth hormone can definitely help you increase some muscle mass. And I have noticed that as well. I'm not a real buff guy, but I do lift kettlebells, swing kettlebells and do pull-ups. And, I've got my fitness routine that I do. And I am noticing just that I'm getting a little better results than normal right now. Also, growth hormone will help assist in recovery. It assists in recovery by reducing inflammation, and it can help with tissue repair. And it also increases ATP production. ATP is a substance that helps fuel our muscular output. And so because of that improved recovery and better ATP production, it means that you can push a little harder during your workouts and still recover adequately. And I've noticed that with myself. I seem to have just a little more in the fuel tank when I work out. I'm hitting things just a little bit harder right now. And yeah, I'm still sore. I'm still, I get joint inflammation, and, I'm old enough that no matter what I do, I'm going to experience some soreness and all that. But I'm able to push a little harder without as much soreness. What else does growth hormone do? Well, it can improve your mood. It can improve your sense of well-being, and it can give you a greater sense of vitality. And I haven't really noticed that in myself. I'm someone that's pretty stable emotionally most of the time. I'm a pretty happy person, and I have pretty decent vitality considering how old I am. So I haven't noticed that, but it can definitely help with that. It can improve cognition. So there's a whole host of things that more growth hormone can help with. Now, what are and this particular protocol, let me say, is, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I should have mentioned that by now. I'm doing two peptides. I'm doing one called CJC 1295, and I'm doing one called ipamorelin. It's a common stack. They work symbiotically through slightly different methods. Ipamorelin triggers the pituitary gland to create more growth hormone, and CJC 1295 increases something called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which is a good proxy for your growth hormone levels, and it also suppresses another hormone, and I forget the name of it, which blocks growth hormone. So it runs a little interference there. I've also heard that it increases the half-life of ipamorelin. I can't verify if that's the case, but the two together seem to be pretty effective. And there's other peptides that increase growth hormone. There's one called tesamorelin. There's one called semorelin. I think hexamorelin does it. They all have these morelin names. I don't know where the naming convention comes from. Some of them are newer and they are more expensive. And they're kind of the hot ones to do, like semorelin's pretty popular, tesamorelin's pretty popular now, but I think they're a little more expensive than the protocol that I'm doing, which is a little older protocol, and it's pretty tried and true, CJC 1295 and ipamorelin. And so those are the peptides that I'm doing. What are the risks associated with doing something like this? Well, growth hormone, if you abuse it, will definitely produce things, cause things to grow that you don't want to grow. And we've all seen this with bodybuilders that abuse growth hormone. Now, they're taking growth hormone directly, although, a lot of them do peptides these days, but traditionally you're doing growth hormone directly, which is, a little risky because you're kind of shutting off your body's own ability to produce growth hormone when you do that. Sort of like if you start doing testosterone, your body loses the ability to generate testosterone itself, which is why I've stayed away from doing testosterone myself. There are other protocols like Clomid, for example, that get your body to produce more testosterone. So it's actually just triggering your body to do more of what it naturally does. And so the peptides are similar in that they stimulate your body to do more of what it naturally does versus taking the actual growth hormone. And again, we see in bodybuilders something called palumboism, or it's where they get that distended belly. Why is it distended? It's because the organs get bigger, their heart gets bigger, their skull gets bigger. You can, cause just, a lot of unwanted growth. And also, if you have things like tumors or cancer cells, or if you have, things that are bad, theoretically, growth hormone can make those things grow as well. So I think you have to be careful to not get too crazy with this stuff. A little bit of growth hormone increase seems to be a really positive thing. Too much of it can definitely produce some negative side effects. And so, that's probably the biggest negative. I'm not too worried about it because I'm doing a pretty low dosage, and I'm just, triggering a little bit of increase in my growth hormone. Other negatives, one of the side effects is flushing. So when I inject the growth hormone, within a few minutes, my face will get a little red. I'll get a little flushed. It lasts about 10 minutes, and it's not real bad. It's pretty mild, but that's kind of a common side effect. What else? Night sweats. So when I first started doing this, the first couple weeks, I would wake up in the night just sweating. And that's subsided, although I still run a little warmer at night than normal. And I assume that's because it increases your metabolism. And so, while you're sleeping, if your metabolism runs a little higher, you're going to be a little warmer. And I should mention, by the way, that one of the benefits of having more growth hormone is deeper sleep. And I have noticed, I've never been someone that remembers my dreams very often. When I was a kid, I certainly did, but as an adult, I really don't. But since I've been on these peptides, I have really vivid dreams, and I wake up remembering my dreams. And so it's definitely stimulating REM sleep. It seems that I'm getting into a deeper sleep as well. So it's been positive as far as the quality of sleep goes. And a lot of people report that that's the case. But night sweats could certainly be a negative associated with doing this. It also, I've noticed that some days I'm extremely hungry. It tends to make me hungry, and that's probably a side effect as well. None of those are huge negatives. Probably the biggest negative would be if you're inducing things in your body to grow that you shouldn't. But I think that has more to do with your dosage and how much you're abusing this stuff. What is the protocol? Well, peptides typically come in a vial that is white powder, and you have to reconstitute it. So you get some bacteriostatic water, and you reconstitute it into a fluid so you can then inject it. The easiest thing to do is go find a peptide calculator online, and it'll ask you, okay, what type of insulin needle are you using? How much water have you reconstituted with? And what is the dosage you're looking for? And it'll tell you how much to put into the syringe so you can inject it. So you have to kind of nerd out a little initially when you start doing this. It's not complicated. It's not all that hard. And then after you've done it once, it's really no big deal. The protocol I'm on is 5 days on, 2 days off. From what I understand, you want to cycle off periodically from this stuff because there could be sort of a dependence on it that your body could stop producing as much growth hormone naturally because you're constantly triggering that to happen. And so you want to cycle off. So I'm doing a 5 days on, 2 days off protocol. And apparently you can do it 3 or 4 months on, but if you do, you then need to take a month off. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. I've just done a month. I plan to continue and do a couple more months on this, and then I'll cycle off. The injections are no big deal. It's a tiny little amount of fluid in a tiny little insulin syringe with a really narrow needle, and you just pinch a little bit of belly fat and you just do it. It really doesn't hurt at all. It's more of a head trip, of knowing you're sticking a needle into your body. But once you've done it a couple times, it's honestly no big deal whatsoever. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say about this protocol. I've had really positive results from it, positive enough. I mean, nothing's magic. It's not going to turn you into a Hulk overnight or any of that kind of stuff. But I have noticed improvements. I've noticed improvement in my sleep. I've noticed an improvement in my workouts. I'm able to train a little bit harder. I've noticed an improvement in my recovery. I've noticed that it keeps me lean despite the fact that I'm eating at a caloric surplus because I'm trying to increase muscle mass and I'm trying to actually gain some weight right now. I want to get a little bigger, a little buffer, and it seems to be helping with that. You have to make sure the rest of your life is in order, that you're getting good sleep, you're getting good nutrition, you're eating adequately, you're not eating garbage, your testosterone is reasonably high, and all those things. But if you're doing everything right, you might look into doing some growth hormone releasing peptides. And there's other peptides that I plan to play around with as well. All this stuff costs money. And so I'm not in a position right now to just, do all the different peptides. But at some point, I want to try some other ones and see what's up. Now, where should you buy the peptides? That's a question that I always get. And, I'm not your doctor. I'm hesitant to just start giving recommendations on YouTube, but I would say that make sure that you are dealing with a reputable source that compounds in the United States. There's a lot of peptides coming from China and who knows where else. And personally, I stay away from that stuff. I use sources that compound and source in the United States. And you also want to choose a company that does purity testing so you can be sure that what you are getting is exactly what you think you're getting so that you can get the effects that you want and you don't get any negatives from that sort of thing. If you want a direct recommendation, probably the best thing to do is just go follow me on Instagram and then direct message me over there. And, I'll point you to one or two places that I like to use to get my peptides. So that's all I have. And now it's your turn below. I'm curious, have you done peptides? What has your experience been with this stuff? Are you a fan? Are you not into them? Are you scared of them? I'm curious below to hear the conversation. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you like content like this, I would appreciate the subscription. And also let me know if you want me to do more of this kind of content. I tend to do videos on subjects that interest me personally, and I don't always know if it's going to resonate. So let me know. All right, talk to you later.